These are two males, two young males. We're guessing around 12 weeks because they're not mine. And I got these from a breeder in Motherwell, so they're called the Motherwell line. So I got two. I got one adult female which unfortunately passed away, and these are the two males that came with two females at kind of about 4 to 5 weeks old, maybe a tiny bit older. So I've grown these out now to the point where I've got to make some decisions about them, about whether I'm going to use them. And they've both turned out to be healthy males, which is nice. Just to give you a comparison, that's a full adult Moscow, a blue Moscow. And you can't really see how blue he is, but as I've said in a number of videos, I'm not planning on using him in any of my breeding projects. But that's a size comparison. It gives you a good idea of where they're at currently. And you can see that's the kind of finnage I would like them to come up with, really. So he's a great example. I quote him quite a lot because he's such a lovely fish. And I do keep him around, even though I keep saying I'm going to sell him or get rid of him, but I love his top fin. But back to the black Moscows, these little guys, they're very, obviously they're two brothers, but there's something about them that's, I've got to make some choices. So the one that's currently on the left is, under different lighting, is the darker. So he's the one that's now in the middle, now on the right. So he's got the phenotype that I really like in terms of he's the blackest of the two in his tail. The other one, the one that seems to be a little bit more manic, is obviously a little bit more blue in his tail, even though, again, you probably can't see it on this camera. But he's almost impossible to catch. As you can see, he's manic. He's got a really good constitution, I like to think. He's very, very healthy, and he's always after the females, and he's always on the go. So I like his genes, I like, maybe not his colour quite so much, and I feel like he's got more white on his belly as well. But I'm going to grow them out a bit more before I make any decisions about whether I can use them. But they both have nice top fins. The dorsal fin on both of them is nice and rounded. Not too long yet, but they're still only young. But let's just see how these grow out. And I may even make them back to their sisters, who are both healthy. But, well, to be fair, I've probably lost that chance now because they've been in with a full black from London. From a breeder I got in London, so they're committed now, really. Even though they're still too young to breed, they have been around that male, so I don't know if anything's happened there. So I probably wouldn't want to take the chance. But I'm really liking these two. And again, as you can see, they're not far off adult size. That's a full adult blue. So they're pretty close, really. I think within another 4 weeks we'll call them adult. And the age was a guesstimate based on what I got. Let's see if I can get in any closer to either of them. I doubt whether this camera will focus well enough. Maybe just zoom in. Let's have a look, see if I can get anything closer. You can see they're very, very robust. They don't like being in this little show tank, which is nice. I like, I'm happy with that they're showing that they don't want to be in there. That's fine. Zoom back out. So just thought we'd have a quick look at those. A lot of white on the belly again, which I'm not a massive fan of. So if you look at this guy, the blue, he has got white on his belly, but as most fish have, but not as much. So I don't know if that might put me off in the longer term, but we shall see. But there's the two brothers, and they're both healthy, fine-looking fish. So let's just see. We'll make some choices later on with them. So this little guy is my Rotherham male, named obviously because he came from a breeder in Rotherham, and he's one of the two that I had. Oh, hello. we have a visitor. No dinner for you today. Leave him alone. Evie, leave him alone. So he is one of the two, as I said, that his brother passed away this week and wasn't particularly healthy. He'd had dropsy, and he also had, he ended up with some kind of fin rot, I'm not sure. This guy seems to have a little bit too much white on the end of his tail for my liking, but I've not seen any kind of loss of the dorsal fin, and I've not seen any deterioration in his swimming or his swim bladder or anything else really. His gonopodium works fine. He's absolutely smitten with the ladies. So he's not as active as a lot of my other males, and he has gone through some tough times, I think, with his fins, because you can see that there's still quite a bit of ragged fin on the back there. But there's nothing else in his tank that's got any kind of a problems, and it is medicated. So I don't know whether he's just had a bad time and he's come through it. See if I can get any closer to him. He is a nice fish. He's always active. Eats well. Eats anything that goes in the tank. He's got probably too much blue in him for my liking, considering how many black Moscows I've got now. He's not the blackest. And it really is hard to tell with these guys until you get them into certain lights. So in this light, he just looks black. And obviously with a fish, he's probably terrified at the moment because of a certain little lady trying to attack him. Come on, leave him alone. Leave him alone. Evie, leave him alone. Good girl. Good girl. So, will I use him? Don't know. Not overly sure. Again, probably more white on him underneath than I would want. I've just been bitten by a cat. Ow. I don't know. He's not out of the breeding program yet, but he's not one of my top favourites. I think what I'll do is go on, leave him alone. Evie. Oh, she's so naughty tonight. I'm trying to film. Evie. Why don't you leave him alone? You're a bully. You're not having any fish food tonight. So back to our fish. Is there a blooper reel for fish videos? Because I've just made one, I think, with that cat. That's Evie, my British blue. She's a monster. So yeah, back to our little Rotherham fella. His sisters, if I'm honest with you, they've given me 2 drops. But they're not doing particularly well either now. They're both looking quite peaky. So I'm a little bit worried about the health of all 3 of them, really. I think what I'll do is I'll monitor him. I've got him in with, I've called it a male tank, but there are females in there, but they're not females that I'm using at all. So they're just, as I've said in many videos, I do try and keep the odd female that I'm not using in with the males to keep them active. And he's staying active. He's, you can see he looks rough. He's got a really rough tail. You can see he's been beaten up a bit with those fins, but he's got some vigor. See if I can get any closer to him. So he's got a bit of life to him. So I'm not writing him off yet. It might be worth definitely getting, a bit more of his blood. Maybe get him to mate with a couple of strong females and just see what we get, but not sure. So he's the last of that line. As I say, I might actually have some of his children. He might have been mated with the 2 females that came, but we can't prove it, so we don't know. So and none of my first generation of the fish that I take off anything that I've bought, I might call in an F1. So I'm going to breed everything that I get at least once, and that generation, then I'll make some choices, and then from then I'll call them my F1s. So I want to be well sure that what comes, what I'm breeding to can cope in my water. So that will be the 2nd generation in before I call it an F1. So anyway, there he is. I'll do some slow motion, see if I can get some nice slow motion off him. next. You know, he's probably a little bit upset that the cat's been trying to eat him, but overall, not a bad little fish. So I can't finish the night of looking at males off without looking at these boys. So these are, I think I've got 6 of these of the large ones there, and they were all born on the about the 1st of let me think now, October, was the 1st of September, and they're 8 to 9 weeks old now, and they're all definitely males, and these are the ones that I moved earlier on in the week. And I can't really say that I've made any decisions about them yet because they haven't grown enough for me to really know. So I'm waiting for a little bit more finnage to come out. You know, I'll have a look at the tails, maybe look at the personality a bit more. There's some light ones which I know won't make the cut. But then Dennis, my little schnauzer, just trying to join us. So yeah, there's a couple of strong, they're all quite strong health-wise, and they're all a good size, but what's happening, you know, in terms of their finnage, I don't know yet. So there's plenty of males to play with there, when I'm ready to make those kind of decisions. Another few weeks yet, and then we'll see what we can do with those guys.